Okay, so we're ready to, once you have your model all put together, all the hardware in place, you're ready to create now the assembly drawing. And the assembly drawing is going to look at, like we see here, we're going to have a top view. We're going to do section lines. This is called an offset section. So this is a little different than the section that we created for our practice problem. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we're going to create an orthographic projection section view that we see here. We will have to make some adjustments to it because we're going to change some of the cross-section types and its scaling. So I'll show you and review how to do that. We're going to add the balloons we see here and a full bill of material. Okay. And then also the isometric up in the corner. Okay. Your balloon numbers may be different than mine. That's okay. All right, don't worry about that, but we have to balloon each one to be, to correspond to the items that you have here in your bill of material. Okay, so to get started, first things first, we're going to have to pull in this case, I used a C size border. A B was a little small. And we're going to have our model scale to 1 to 2. And I forget if it does that automatically for us, but we're going to make sure that it's that. So we kind of take up a good portion of the screen and be able to see everything. So I'm going to go into SolidWorks and I want to have my model available to me. Now, you are going to need to change the transparency back to solid. Okay, so if you did the transparency where you could see through it for the purpose of handing in the practice problems, that's totally fine. I need to kind of see into some of those parts. But now what we want to do is we want to put the transparency back to normal so that we see everything and everything's in here as a solid part rather than any transparency. Otherwise, it will translate over to the drawing. Okay, and we don't want that to happen. So once you have that, now we're ready to create an assembly drawing. So just like on a part drawing, we're going to go up to the top here. We're going to say, go to the new, we're going to arrow down, but we're going to make a drawing from, in this case, the assembly. So we're going to click on that. And then we're simply going to do, I think it is the drawing. Is it this one? This one. And we're going to hit OK. And then it's going to give us the opportunity to navigate to our C size border. Now, if you haven't done so already, you need to download, let me go back one level here to our modules, sorry. At the very top of the modules page, the second section from the bottom, right above module 1, I have the WCTC SolidWorks drawing borders. I did have you guys download these earlier when we started using borders, maybe 2 weeks ago. But if you haven't done the C size border, you want to make sure that you download that now here and put it where your other borders are so that you can then select it to pull up. Okay. So what I've done, go back to mine. Once we get here, we're going to browse to where you save that. And so for me, I have mine in our course and I have a directory created called SolidWorks borders. You probably have something like that somewhere. And then you want to put that C size border in the same place. So it's the WCTC_C. And you want to click on that and say open. Okay. And now it's going to preview it over on the right-hand side. And then you can simply hit OK. And now we've got a C size border up. The other thing you want to check is what is your scale. So when we come in here, you're going to notice that the scale is 1 to 2. And it does match what I have on the scale for that drawing. So we don't have to change anything there for the scale. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is over on the right-hand side here, we're going to pick that top view. Now, in my case, the top view technically is their front view. It just kind of depends on how you assign your views when you create those initial parts. So mine is, I want to look straight down on it. And even though mine is called front, that's what I'm gonna, oopsie, that's what I'm gonna grab in. So I'm gonna left click, drag over, and then release right about there. Okay. And then I'm gonna simply hit OK. Now I'm gonna zoom in here. And there are some center lines I want to get rid of because they're not going to be helpful for me. So there's this center line. I'm just going to left click, hit the delete key on my keyboard, left click, delete, and then all the center lines that are in here. There might be multiples sometimes. So just kind of check that those are off. Okay. Now I'm going to go over underneath and I want to look at my section view line in that top view. My section view line is going to run through the socketed cap screw and the dowel pin, go straight up. It's a vertical line, and then it's going to run through the center of that knurled head screw. And when we look down here, what that does is it's basically taking a cut through those sections so that when I look at my section view down here, anything that is hatching is actual material that I'm cutting through. Anything that I'm not means that, number one, it's the most internal part. On a section view, we never section the most internal part. So for instance, there's nothing inside of our knurled head screw, so it remains a solid part, okay? The other thing that we never section through is going to be hardware. The hardware we're not sectioning through is going to be our socket head cap screw and our dowel pin. But we do want to section through our drill bushing. That is not considered like a standard hardware, like a fastener, okay? So we will be sectioning through that. So first things first, I need to draw my cutting plane line. So I'm going to go back up here. All right. And I need to draw that line by sketching it. So you're going to go on the sketch tab and we're just going to use our regular line command. I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to go in here and I can start drawing a line anywhere I want, but I want to be strategic about it. So you want to activate the center. Don't click. You want to activate the center of this fastener and just pull out horizontally so that you're beyond the part, because this is going to be the start of my cutting plane line. I'm going to just left click and I'm going to go through all the way to the other side and through my dowel pin. But before I get to this edge here, so I want to be right in the middle here, but I want to be completely past my dowel pin. So I'm going to click here. All right. Then I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to kind of do that same thing up here. I'm going to activate the center of that fastener. I'm going to come straight across. And when I get vertical, but in line with that center, I'm going to click. And then I'm going to go through the center horizontally past my knurled head screw. And then I'm going to hit, shoot. I hit escape instead of select. Oh, it's okay. You know what I'll do? I will, oh, it left these two for me. So if you did it, I'm going to go to the very end here and I'm going to go here and then I'm going to hit escape. There it is. So if we look, it's pretty light in there, but you'll notice that you have 3 lines horizontally going right down the center here. Again, don't forget to activate the centers, vertical line, and then horizontally through the center here. And they're beyond the actual part. Okay. So now we're going to go back to our drawing tab and we are going to select all 3 of those lines simultaneously. So I'm going to hold my control key and I'm going to left click on the first line, second line, third line, so that all 3 of them are selected. Then I'm going to go up to my section view. I'm going to click on section view. You want to create legacy foreshortened section view. So click the top one here. And now we need to select the items we are going to exclude from our sectioning. So I'm going to go back over here. The parts that we are going to exclude are going to be the knurled head screw. Okay, so we're going to actually select that part. We're going to select the dowel pin. We're going to select, we're not selecting the bushing, but then we're going to select this dowel pin and the socket head cap screw. So the knurled head screw and those couple items. So I'm going to go back to SolidWorks. Now to do that, it wants to highlight here. Before we do that, click off of exclude fasteners because it lumps the drill bushings into fasteners and it's not. Otherwise, it won't go through those. So uncheck exclude fasteners. And now we're gonna go over and we're just gonna hover over and left click on our knurled head screw. And then we're gonna left click on, oops, not the clamp, I don't want that one. We're gonna left click on our dowel pin and left click on the socket head cap screw. That one I don't think we can get to. So we're gonna leave that because I don't think it does that one anyway, because it's an innermost part. So now we can hit OK. And you're gonna notice that on the end of our cursor, we now have our section view. So we're simply going to go down and we're going to locate it right here, left click. And then we're going to hit OK. Now, it put the arrowheads, it converted those lines that we created to section lines, and it put the arrowheads pointing away. Okay, so make sure that it's pointing away. If it's not pointing away, you can flip those arrows by just clicking on it. And oopsie, I think it's when we do the section view. Maybe it has to be here. Yeah, you have to click the section view down here, and you can always flip the direction of the arrows if you need to. So if this A is pointing down, it needs to point up away from the section view. You can flip those arrows. Now I am going to select the A right here, and I want to get rid of the A. So you're just going to go on the cutting plane line here and you're going to erase A. It's kind of redundant to have that the extra text on here when there's only one section view. We know what the section view is. And then we can do the same thing with the section down there and just hit delete on your keyboard. So we're going to do a file save right now. So our offset section is in place. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, because of this vertical line here, it creates some extra lines down in our section view. We need to remove these. To remove these, we're going to left click on it, and this dialog box is going to come up, and we're going to hide the edge. We're going to click on that and it goes away. The same thing for this vertical line. Click on it, up in this dialog box, hide the edge. There's 2 lines here, I believe. We have to click it. Oopsie. Click it again. And activate it. There it is. There we go. Activate it. I missed it. Let's try it again. There it is. Okay. And hide edge. It's a little, if you move around too much, that dialog box goes away. Let's click it and hide edge. And now you should have no vertical lines here. You need to remove those. Again, it's because of the vertical line that we see here. That's that foreshortening that it does. Okay. So now we're going to notice that it did alternate the direction of the sections for us, but it kept it all the same section type. So let's look underneath here. You're going to notice that the sectioning that I did is I put some closer together, some further apart, and some different. The 2 that I want nice and close are going to be where we see our drill bushings. Okay, that's something that it's kind of a standard. So let's go back to SolidWorks, and we're going to adjust some of this these hatchings. So where I'm going to start is I will start in those drill bushings. So you simply left click inside one, and then we need to select the other. So you should hit the control key. By hitting the control key, it allows you to select multiples. So I'm going to click over here. I'm going to continue to hold, click the 2 places on either side on the bottom for the drill bushing, because these are going to get all the same hatching treatment, if you would. We're going to then go into the dialog box on the left, uncheck the material crosshatch, and I'm going to change the scale to, I'm going to say 4. I'm going to see how close. Yeah, that's pretty close, but I'm going to go even more. I want it to almost look solid. I'm going to say 8. Yeah, I'm going to do that. It doesn't have to be completely solid, because you can put it as solid, but I'm going to put it right about like, well, we could, nah, that's a little too much. I don't want it like crazy dark. So that's perfect. Then I'm going to do this. I'm going to kind of look around here. I'm going to make these guys right here a little closer. So I'm going to click on that one, but I've got to click all of them. So again, control to select the other areas of that entire part. I'm going to uncheck material crosshatch. I'll keep this one in the type that it is, but I'm going to switch it to 2. A little closer together. That looks good. We're going to leave the locator block exactly the way it is, but I am going to change the base plate. And again, I'm holding my control key as I grab each one of these so I get all the sections at once. I'm going to uncheck material crosshatch. This one I'm going to change to steel, so it has that double, and I'm going to see what 3 looks like. That looks pretty good compared to what I have there. I'm going to make the clamp just a little closer together, so I'm going to change that to 2. And I think that's fine. I think that's fine what we've got. Okay, just so that we see a difference between them. Number one, the hatching on anything that meets, okay, like for instance, on the bushing plate and the locator block, they have to be in separate directions. They cannot be going in the same direction. Even if you change their style, they should always be going in a different direction. Okay. And then you'll notice that we even changed the type so we can really see where the edges start and stop and where the parts start and stop. So I'm going to hit F. So now we've got that in place. So I'm going to do a file, save. The next thing is to add some center lines. Okay. So, so just like we do on a part, we are going to add underneath the annotation tab. Okay. And we're going to go to center line. And if you click, for instance, a continuous bolt like this just once in the bolt or the screw, it's going to add it. The same thing for the dowel pin, but because this hole extends down, we do want that to go lower. So since I'm still doing center lines, I'm going to adjust that after I get all my center lines in place. I don't know if it's going to do it for it will do it for my drill bushing. I'm not going to add it down here because we're just going to extend this down all the way through. And then I'm going to add it here for my knurled head screw. And I think that's all I need in this view because I'm going to extend the ones that are there. So I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to left click on these after I'm done with my command. And I'm going to pull this one down just beyond that hole. I'm going to click on this one, pull this one, oopsie, pull this one down all the way through. And that should be good for that view. Now I'm going to go up to the top. And if we look here, we did add the center marks for all of the circular holes or all the circular features here. So I'm going to go back to here. And now we're going to be on that same annotation tab, center mark. And we're going to add them for each one of these. So center mark is kind of like that crosshairs. There we go. Okay, so we'll do a file, save. Gosh, I feel like these views should be bigger. It's already 1 to 2. I wonder why. I'm going to change this. I'm going to user define. I'm going to say 1 to 1.5. Yeah, I think that's better. I wonder why my border didn't change. 1.5 looks much better, doesn't it? Yeah. So I did a user defined 1 to 1.5. So user defined 1 to 1.5. And I think that's the right size. I'm not sure why that one says 1 to 2. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add by isometric view. Now, the way that mine came out, and I'm not sure why, oh, I don't see my views there anyway, but I'm going to make a new projected view, but I'm going to do it off of my section view. So I'm going to click on my section view and I'm going to go up and to the right, or, oh, let me look down here. Oh, no, up and to the right, I guess. Oh, no, up and to the left. Sorry. So you can kind of see, you can go over here and then we're just going to move it into location. I like this view right here. When I did the palette before, it didn't have that one. So I'm going to just move this over. So you can always create that And then I am gonna make that one a little smaller. I'm gonna use a custom scale and I'm gonna say 1 to 2 for that one, make it just a little smaller. Now here too, use your best discretion. If you look here, I'm gonna click back on there. The one that I have it set at is gonna be hidden line removed. If you go over to the shaded with edges, if you like that, you can do that as well. I usually do that for individual parts, but for assemblies, I tend to not have, you know, all that shading because it's going to kind of be a darker blob. You won't be able to see the edges anyway. So I tend to use this one for assemblies, but you can use either one, whatever you feel you like. Let me see here. I think I'm just going to kind of glance back over here as I look. I think element wise, we've got everything in place. Now we just need to add balloons in our bill of material. So I'm going to go back to SolidWorks. Okay. I guess it doesn't matter which one you do first. If you want to do balloons first, you can. We'll go to for balloons annotation. I don't care for auto balloons, so I'm going to do regular balloon. And all I'm going to do is kind of maneuver my way around here. So if I go on the inside, it's going to do a dot. If I go on the outside of the part, it's going to do an arrow. So you just left click to select and left click to place. And you just kind of make your way around the part. I put number 1 up here. You could put it down here. It wouldn't be bad to put the base plate down there. I think that's a good idea. I'm going to put my dowel pin here. And then I want to make sure I get right onto the drill bushing. And then, let me see here. That's that drill bushing. Oh, I also have this guy right here, this dowel pin. So again, if your numbers are different than mine, that's okay. And sometimes you can align these to be nice and in line with one another. Again, that doesn't have to be either. Just depends on how you feel it looks the best. So I think I have all of my balloons in place, and now I'm ready to put my bill of material on. So I'm going to do a file save. Bill of material is going to be on the annotations tab all the way to the right. Arrow down. Bill of material. There are some changes here that we have to make. It wants you to select the view. I'm going to select my section view here, and I'm simply going to, you know, select all the standards that are here. And I'm going to say, okay. And then it's going to put it on my, my cursor. And I'm just going to put it right above my title block here. I'm going to left click to place it. And then we're going to have the opportunity to, I'm going to kind of move these over. Something like that. And then we can always adjust it as well. Now, we're going to do those very same changes that we did when we did our shaft support assembly. At the very top here, we're going to change part number by double clicking on it. It's going to go into text editing mode, and we're going to change this to description. And then we're going to go over to the right-hand side where it's description. We're going to change that to part number. All right. You don't have your part numbers in here. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Because I'm going to, I'll show you how to add that. The next thing that we want to do is we just want to make sure that all of our part numbers are good, but the ones that are down here, I'm sorry, the descriptions, the ones that are down here, we are going to be changing these because these are kind of like, I don't know, they're SolidWorks versions of the part number or the part description, and they're not easily gotten. So we're gonna change those to match what we have in the bill of material that I have down below. But before we do that, let's do the part numbers up here. Now, these part numbers correspond to the part numbers that you're going to be adding to each one of the details. So for instance, our base plate detail drawing, you need to pay attention to the part number because down in the title block, it's 888-123 for the base plate. Okay, so that's going to be the number that you're going to put on your detail drawing, and it's also going to be the number that you are going to use here. So in this space, it's just blank for you right now. You're going to double click that space. You're going to say keep link, because now it's going to link the part number that you assign to the file, in this case, base plate. So keep link, and now you can key in 888-123. Okay. And then I think you can just hit OK or enter. Then you do the same thing for the locator block. Double click on the locator block. Keep link 888-124, but you might have a different part here. So make sure wherever your locator block is in your bill of material, it's that same number, 888-124. Then we've got bushing plate, 888-125. And again, on your detail for that bushing plate, same part number there, okay? And then clamp block, 888-126. Knurled head screw, 127, and clamp is 128. And those are the 6, if you would, custom parts, the models that you created that you'll also be doing detail drawings for. All right, once you have those in place, now we are going to go over here and we are going to change the descriptions of these to match what's in the bill of material that I have here. Okay, and we'll do each one of these together as well. So the first one here is a dowel pin. I'm going to double click on that. And again, DPM doesn't mean a whole lot to people. So you're just going to say yes to this. And now you're going to go into text editing mode. So this is going to be dowel pin 0.75 DIA by, using an X, 2.5 LG for long. So dowel pin, 0.75 diameter by 2.5 long, enter. Okay. Then the next one, double click on that, say yes. Same thing, dowel pin, but this time it's 0.25 diameter by 2 LG. And then the third one, yes, dowel pin, oopsie, 0.375 diameter, oopsie, diameter by 1.5 LG. There we go. Okay. The next two are socket head cap screws. So we're going to double click on that, say yes, get rid of everything there. And this is going to be 0.625-11. That's 5/8-11 UNC. 11 is going to be the number of threads per inch. By 5 long. And then we're going to say socket head. So SOC HD for socket head, and then cap screw. Okay. So 0.625-11, that's that thread call out, by 5 long, socket head cap screw. The next one's going to be the same format, but 3/4 10 by 3. So 0.75-10 by 3 LG socket head cap screw. And then the very last one, number 12, is our drill bushing. So I'm going to double click that, say yes, get rid of it all. And this is going to be DR bushing, type P, 0.75, ID is inside diameter by 1.0 OD, outside diameter, by 1.0 LG. So that's the last one. So drill bushing, type P, 0.75 ID by 1 OD by 1 long. The reason we change these is, for instance, SolidWorks just kind of gives it a designation that's a little bit more generic. But for instance, if somebody wants to order a dowel pin, they're not tied to a certain vendor. As long as it's 3/4 inch diameter by 2.5 inch long, you can get those dowel pins, okay? So over here where it says part number, instead of writing any sort of a part number in there, we're just gonna put in standard because it's like standard hardware, okay? And they can get it wherever they can get it to match that description. So we're gonna say yes, and we're just gonna do standard for each one of these. We're gonna go down here, double click, yes, and then just key in standard. Oops. Standard. Double click, yes, standard. Double click, yes, standard. Double click. Come on. Yes. And last one. There we go. Okay. Bill of material, I think it looks good. So let's just kind of peek at it, double check it. It looks, yeah, all the items in there, 1 through 12. So 6 of them are models you create. 6 are going to be standard hardware out of the toolbox from SolidWorks. Okay, this is fun. Very last part is we need to fill in our title blocks. So that's going to be on the annotations tab again. We're going to use note like we normally do. Material, N/A, non-applicable because there's not one single material here. It's all different types depending on the part. Then you're just going to put your initials, the date, 7/18/24, and then the drawing number, 888-100. Make sure you use what's there. Okay, now in this case, it always does a 12 for the size of the text. I'm going to double click this. I like the drawing number to be a little larger. If you don't do this, it's not a big deal, but then it kind of matches, the part name size as well. So I'm going to do an F for fit. I'm going to do a file, save. And as I look at it, I think it looks really good. Okay, there's our assembly drawing. So make sure that you you save this, and then you are going to be handing in the PDF of this, not the screenshot. So to do that, you're just simply going to do file, save as, and we're going to change the file type to PDF, and we're simply going to save that, and then you are going to pick that file to upload to the Dropbox for the assembly drawing. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be, assignment, close that tab. No, it's going to be assignment 6C. It's the assembly drawing. Okay, so upload that there. Any questions at the moment? All right.